Over the past few months, a growing number of spiritual thinkers, numerologists, and seekers have been pointing to a seemingly ordinary date June 3, 2025 as something extraordinary. Online forums, social media pages, and esoteric circles have dubbed this moment as the opening of the 369 portal, a powerful energetic alignment linked to sacred numerology, cosmic resonance, and the mysterious teachings of Nikola Tesla. But what is the 369 portal, and why now? In a time where ancient wisdom is being re-examined through the lens of quantum physics, consciousness studies, and collective awakening, numbers have taken on new symbolic weight. Some believe the 369 sequence is more than mathematical curiosity. It may be a spiritual key, encoded into the very fabric of reality. From the patterns found in nature and architecture, to the frequencies of sound and the structure of light, this numeric trio is believed by many to hold the blueprint of creation itself. The term, portal, in this context isn't meant to evoke science fiction or fantasy. In metaphysical and esoteric language, a portal represents a window of energetic opportunity, a moment in time when vibrational thresholds are lower, when transformation and inner work can be accelerated. The idea is that on certain dates, such as solstices, eclipses, or numerologically aligned days, the energetic conditions are ripe for breakthroughs in consciousness. So why June 3, 2025? On the surface, it may appear to be just another date on the calendar, but to those attuned to symbolic patterns, its numerological makeup is striking. The dates are 6 Archer 2025 contains the digits 3, 6, and 9. When reduced numerologically, the components of the date 6, 12, 3, 2, 2, plus or 2, 5 add up to 18 and 1 plate equals 9. In short, the numbers 3, 6, and 9 appear overtly and symbolically embedded in the structure of the day. To those who work with sacred numbers, this is not coincidence, it's code. The surge of interest in this particular sequence has its roots in both modern and ancient traditions. Tesla, whose contributions to electrical engineering reshaped the 20th century, is often quoted perhaps apocryphally as saying, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe." While the quote itself is unverified, Tesla's obsession with numbers, patterns, and cosmic energy is very real. And in recent years, this has inspired a generation of spiritual thinkers to re-examine the deeper significance behind numbers we often take for granted. At the same time, social media platforms have amplified the spread of these ideas. Search 369 method on TikTok or YouTube, and you'll find thousands of videos discussing manifestation techniques, Tesla-based affirmations, and new age interpretations of this ancient sequence. Some are thoughtful, others, admittedly, are overly simplified. But collectively they speak to a deep yearning. People want to believe that meaning can be found in patterns, that the universe is speaking in code, and we're beginning to listen. This video is not just about decoding a date or indulging in spiritual speculation. It's an investigation. We will explore the roots of these numbers across cultures, the esoteric traditions that held them sacred, the scientific concepts that mirror them, and the astrological reasoning behind June 3, 2025. Together, we'll ask, is there real substance behind the 369 portal? Or are we simply projecting ancient symbols onto a modern world in search of meaning? Few names are as frequently invoked in discussions of the 369 mystery as Nikola Tesla. A pioneer of electricity, wireless energy, and visionary invention, Tesla's legacy has long extended beyond engineering. To some, he was not only a scientist, but a mystic, someone who believed that numbers could unlock the secrets of the cosmos. Central to this belief was his fascination with the numbers 3, 6, and 9. You've probably seen the quota, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe." It circulates widely, from online forums to social media graphics to motivational speeches. But here's the truth. There's no verifiable source proving Tesla ever said this. It doesn't appear in his published writings or correspondence. that hasn't stopped it from becoming a foundational mantra in New Age numerology circles. Still, the absence of a quote doesn't mean there's no fire behind the smoke. Tesla was notoriously obsessed with numbers. Biographers and close associates noted that he had a compulsive need to do things in sets of 3. He would walk around a block 3 times before entering a building, demand 18 napkins at restaurants another multiple of 3, and frequently structured his daily routines around numeric rituals. These habits weren't random. Tesla believed there were energetic, vibrational reasons for them. So what might these numbers represent in Tesla's worldview? We know that Tesla held a deep belief in the vibrational nature of reality. He often stated, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." He saw the universe not as a static collection of objects, but as a dynamic interplay of forces, harmonics, and mathematical precision. In this framework, numbers like 3, 6, and 9 are not merely abstract figures, they are fundamental building blocks of existence. Modern proponents of vortex mathematics, a speculative system of energetic math largely attributed to Marco Rodin, claim that 3, 6, and 9 represent a higher dimensional energy. In Rodin's theory, all numbers follow a predictable energy pattern except for 3, 6, and 9, which form a separate vector or spiritual axis. These numbers are said to govern motion, change, and unseen energy fields. While vortex math has yet to gain serious recognition in mainstream science, it has captured the imagination of spiritual and metaphysical communities, particularly those inspired by Tesla's philosophies. There are also deeper mathematical quirks surrounding 3, 6, and 9 that spark intrigue. Any number multiplied by 9, when reduced down to a single digit, will always result in 9. For example, 9 and fapa, fava, 4 fapa, 9, 9, 8 to 7 into 2, 2, 9. Similarly, if you add the digits of any multiple of 3 or 6, you'll notice cyclical, repetitive patterns almost like a rhythm embedded in the base 10 system. Are these quirks just numerical coincidences, or are they signs of a deeper structure in the universe? Tesla certainly seemed to think so. He believed the universe was a resonant system, and that reality itself functioned on harmonics. In this light, numbers like 3, 6, and 9 could represent resonant nodes in the vibrational field of reality. If everything is frequency, then understanding the language of vibration would, logically, include understanding the mathematics that governs those patterns. But there's a duality to Tesla's legacy. While his engineering brilliance is well documented, his more mystical inclinations were often dismissed by his contemporaries as eccentric, even delusional. He was a man of two worlds, one foot in hard science, the other in cosmic intuition. It's precisely this duality that makes his obsession with 3, 6 to 9 so compelling to modern spiritual thinkers. It bridges the empirical and the mystical. Still, it's important to ask, are we overlaying modern spiritual meaning onto Tesla's quirks? Is this a genuine thread of hidden knowledge or a convenient myth? Like many esoteric traditions, the power of the 3-6-9 sequence may lie not in its objective truth, but in its symbolic resonance, a gateway through which individuals can project meaning, curiosity, and exploration. In the end, whether Tesla explicitly knew the secret of the universe through these numbers or not, his legacy planted a seed, one that continues to grow in the minds of those who believe that mathematics, mysticism, and the cosmos are far more intertwined than we've been taught. To understand the deeper implications of 369, we must go back far before Tesla, a time when numbers were not only used for counting, but for interpreting the very nature of the cosmos. For ancient philosophers, mystics, and initiates of secret schools, numbers were alive, sacred archetypes encoded into the structure of creation itself. One of the most important figures in this lineage was Pythagoras, the Greek philosopher and mathematician who lived around 570 BCE. Most students today encounter his name in the context of geometry, but Pythagoras' true legacy is far more spiritual than most realize. He founded a mystical school in Croton, Italy, where mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy were taught alongside rituals, music, and spiritual disciplines. To Pythagoras and his followers, numbers were divine. They believed the universe was composed of harmonic ratios, and that these ratios could be found in everything from the movements of the planets to the intervals of a musical scale. Pythagoras taught that each number held a spiritual essence. 3 represented harmony and divine intelligence, a triad seen in the mind, body-soul relationship. 6 symbolized balance and responsibility, being the first perfect number, as its divisors 1, 2, and 3 add up to itself. 9 was the number of completion, initiation, and cosmic order. These meanings were not arbitrary. They reflected a belief that numbers could unveil truths, not only about the material world, but about the soul and its journey. As the Pythagorean tradition influenced later thought, numerology evolved in different cultural and religious contexts. In early Christian Gnostic sects, numbers were viewed as part of a divine language that could decode higher realities. The Gnostics believed that material existence was a flawed echo of a higher spiritual order, an order governed by sacred structures, including mathematics. In their cosmologies, the number 3 often denoted the divine trinity, not in the traditional Christian sense, but as the emanation of mind nous, word logos, and the wisdom Sophia. The number 9 frequently appeared as the final stage of spiritual ascent, the point at which a soul reintegrated with the pleroma, or fullness, of divine light. These associations didn't develop in isolation. In Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition, numbers are integral to the tree of life. Each sephira, or sphere, corresponds to a number and a level of spiritual understanding. Yesod, the 9th sephira, serves as the foundation connecting the spiritual and material realms. This is where divine energy manifests into reality, a fitting symbolism for the number 9 as a portal between dimensions. Further east, Indian numerology also accords spiritual meanings to these numbers. In Vedic teachings, 3 stands for the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas, the foundational energies of the universe. The number 6 often relates to Shad Ripu, or the 6 enemies of the mind, which must be overcome for spiritual growth. The number 9 is associated with Brahma and divine completion, symbolizing the highest stages of consciousness. This convergence of meaning across traditions suggests that numbers like 3, 6, and 9 were not only important, they were universal. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries arrived at similar conclusions, that these numbers held keys to balance, initiation, and transcendence. It's also no coincidence that these numbers show up prominently in religious iconography and architecture. The enneagram, a 9-pointed figure used today in psychology and spiritual self-analysis, originated in ancient traditions of sacred geometry. The triangle, representing 3, appears in countless spiritual symbols, from the Christian Trinity to the Eye of Providence. The Star of David, built from 2 intersecting triangles, reflects the number 6. The mandalas of Hindu and Buddhist traditions frequently contain arrangements based on 3, 6, and 9-point symmetries. So when modern thinkers talk about the 369 portal, they're not creating something new, they're continuing an age-old conversation. They're drawing upon a global, historical recognition that these numbers mean something not just logically, but metaphysically. The question, then, is not whether these numbers are powerful. The evidence from spiritual traditions suggests that they are. The real question is whether humanity is ready to truly understand what they point to, and to use that understanding not for superstition, but for transformation. While the fascination with 369 has deep historical roots, the focus on June 3, 2025 introduces a new layer of relevance: astrological alignment. This is not merely about numbers appearing on a calendar. For many esoteric practitioners, this date represents a convergence of symbolic, energetic, and astronomical significance, where ancient patterns meet cosmic timing. Let's begin with the date itself, June 3, 2025. The components 6, 3, and 9 since 2259 stand out numerologically. That alone captures the attention of those attuned to sacred number sequences. But beyond the surface, astrologers have identified intriguing planetary movements that further heighten the mystique. On this date, Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter form geometrical relationships in the sky that are believed to generate energetic windows of influence. Venus, the planet of harmony and higher love, conjoins with Mercury, the messenger of the gods and ruler of thought and communication. Their union occurs in Gemini, a sign known for duality, knowledge, and curiosity. At the same time, Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, expansion, and spiritual growth, is strongly positioned in Taurus, anchoring the otherwise cerebral energy in the body and earth. To esoteric astrologers, this creates a perfect triadic relationship. Mercury symbolizes thought and speech mental realm, Venus symbolizes love and harmony emotional realm, Jupiter symbolizes truth and expansion spiritual realm. When these archetypes form harmonious aspects, as they are set to do on June 3, it's believed they open a temporary energetic portal, a moment when insight, alignment, and manifestation can flow with much less resistance. From a more symbolic perspective, the date occurs during the midpoint between two eclipses in the spring and summer of 2025. This eclipse corridor is considered by astrologers to be a liminal time when the veils between dimensions grow thin and major collective and personal shifts can take place. Many believe that these windows allow for a recalibration of consciousness, much like the solstices or equinoxes of ancient times. This is where the esoteric idea of a portal comes into play. In traditional astrology, a portal isn't a door in space, it's a state of awareness, a shift in perception triggered by cosmic rhythm. Just as ancient civilizations timed their rituals with lunar phases and star movements, today's seekers view these alignments as optimal moments to set intention, clear emotional blocks, and receive intuitive downloads from higher dimensions. Critics often dismiss these interpretations as coincidental or unverifiable, and that's fair. Modern astronomy sees these planetary movements as predictable and purely physical. But esoteric traditions operate from a different premise, that symbolism has power, and that the macrocosm reflects the microcosm. In this view, celestial bodies are not just rocks in space, but spiritual archetypes, living symbols expressing divine intelligence. Adding to this, some modern numerologists connect the 369 sequence to universal laws of manifestation. These numbers appear frequently in energy healing, sound therapy, and affirmational practice areas where subtle, non-physical forces are said to interact with consciousness itself. Aligning personal work with dates that reflect these numbers is believed to increase resonance between the individual and the universal field. That's what June 3, 2025 represents for many, a day where cosmic symbolism, planetary alignment, and spiritual intention converge, not in the sense of magic or superstition, but in the sense of pattern and opening in time, where ancient truths find new application. It's also worth noting that energy, whether physical or spiritual, responds to collective focus. If thousands, perhaps millions of people, are consciously tuning into the idea of transformation on this date, meditating, journaling, manifesting, then that collective act becomes a force of its own. In this sense, the portal opens not because the sky commands it, but because consciousness aligns with it. Ultimately, June 3, 2025 is not just about the heavens, it's about us. What we choose to see, feel, and do in response to the signs around us. Whether you believe in energetic portals or not, the symbolic depth of this moment invites one simple but profound question. What are you ready to change, and what are you ready to become? The idea of an energy portal, a temporary gateway for higher consciousness or cosmic information, sits at the intersection of mysticism and speculation. For believers, these portals are moments of amplified spiritual energy, offering opportunities for transformation. For skeptics, they're unfounded metaphors, with no grounding in science, So how do we separate fiction from possibility? To begin with, let's clarify what an energy portal isn't. It's not a wormhole. It's not a side door to another galaxy. It's not something visible, measurable, or tangible in the way a telescope might detect a supernova. Instead, it's an idea rooted in ancient metaphysics that at certain times, the fabric between dimensions or layers of consciousness becomes thinner, and energy flows freely between planes of existence. This concept appears across many traditions. In ancient Egypt, priests aligned their temples with the stars to harness specific energies during solstices and equinoxes. The Maya constructed their pyramids not only to track the sun but to act as spiritual resonators during key celestial events. In Hindu cosmology, time itself is cyclical and layered. Certain periods, known as yugas, hold specific vibrational qualities. Within these frameworks, energy portals are moments of resonance when the macrocosm and microcosm briefly synchronize. Interestingly, modern science has discovered phenomena that, while not proof of portals, mirror their symbolic meaning. In 2008, NASA scientists announced the discovery of magnetic portals, temporary points of connection between the Earth and the Sun's magnetic fields. These portals open every 8 minutes and allow high energy particles to flow into Earth's atmosphere. They are invisible but measurable and represent a very real interaction between celestial bodies and energetic transfer. Of course, NASA does not refer to these as spiritual gateways. But it's worth noting ancient people often encoded their understanding of natural phenomena in symbol and myth. Rather than physics and equations, what they called a portal we might call a geomagnetic flux tube. The language changes, the mystery remains. From a psychological perspective, energy portals can also be understood as states of heightened awareness. On dates that carry symbolic weights such as solstices, eclipses, or numerologically aligned days, many people enter into a shared intentionality. They meditate more deeply, reflect more honestly, engage with ritual. And through these actions, they may access insights or internal shifts they wouldn't experience on an ordinary day. Is that not, in a way, the opening of a portal? Critics argue that this is simply the power of suggestion, and perhaps they're right. But even if a portal is just a product of collective belief, its impact can still be real. When thousands of people act in unison, with focus and purpose, consciousness shifts not necessarily because the stars command it, but because human will magnifies it. There's also growing interest in the field of noetic science, which explores the potential of consciousness to affect the physical world. Researchers at the Institute of Noetic Sciences have studied phenomena like remote viewing, intention-based experiments, and global consciousness shifts. While results are controversial and not always replicable, they suggest that conscious awareness may be more influential than previously understood. When it comes to planetary alignments, mainstream astronomy deals strictly with mechanics, how celestial bodies move in relation to each other. But esoteric astrology interprets these movements as symbolic reflections of archetypal forces. For example, a conjunction between Venus and Jupiter may represent a harmonious convergence of love and spiritual truth, even if no physical energy is exchanged between the planets. Is this projection? Possibly. But it may also be pattern recognition, our way of navigating a universe too vast and interconnected to fully comprehend in linear terms. What science sees as orbits, mysticism sees as rhythms of intention. So where does that leave us? Perhaps the most balanced view is this: energy portals may not be physical gates or verifiable phenomena, but they are meaningful constructs, built from thousands of years of spiritual observation. They remind us to pay attention, to align, to reflect, to open ourselves to possibilities we often ignore in the rush of ordinary life. And on a date like June 3, 2025, when symbolism, astrology, and intention intersect, what we do with that moment is what gives it power. Whether it's a cosmic alignment or simply a chance to stop, breathe, and shift our awareness. The result may be the same, a step closer to understanding ourselves as part of a greater whole. Numbers have long been a bridge between science and spirituality. They are both language and symbol, tools we use to measure reality, and yet, for thousands of years, also the code through which we interpret the divine. Among these, the numbers 3, 6, and 9 stand out, not only for their appearance in mystical traditions, but for the mathematical patterns and universal symbolism they exhibit across cultures and disciplines. Let's begin with their mathematical behavior. The number 9, for instance, holds a unique place in base 10 arithmetic. Any number multiplied by 9, when its digits are added and reduced, returns to 9 tree. 9 to 272 semp of 9 9 to samp at 63 6 12 3 per 9 9 to 9 9 to 9 1 platin per 9. This recursive quality of 9 has led numerologists to describe it as the number of completion. It returns to itself. It reflects closure, transformation, and rebirth, suggesting a cycle that never truly ends, but resets with deeper understanding. The number 3, meanwhile, is frequently seen as a symbol of balance and wholeness. In sacred geometry, a triangle formed with 3 points is the first shape capable of creating a stable structure. In philosophy, we speak of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. In the human experience, we live through the triad of mind, body, and spirit. Across time and belief systems, the number 3 has symbolized unity through diversity, the synthesis of duality into something new. The number 6, situated between these two, often represents harmony. In numerology, it's associated with nurturing, responsibility, and love. Mathematically, it's known as the first perfect number, meaning it is the sum of its divisors 1 12 2 12 3 6. It also frequently appears in nature: insect legs, carbon atoms, honeycombs. Each showcases the stability of 6-fold symmetry. Together, 3, 6, and 9 form a trinity that many believe represents the flow of energy in a dynamic, cyclical universe. 3 creation, 6 growth and balance, 9 per completion and transcendence. These interpretations aren't just ancient musings. They have parallels in modern science. In quantum physics, everything is energy, and energy behaves in patterns. Waveforms, fractals, vibrations, all governed by mathematics. Sacred geometry, which often employs patterns based on 3, 6, and 9, mirrors structures found in atomic configurations and cosmic architecture. The spiral of a galaxy, the unfurling of a fern, the shell of a nautilus all reflect the same proportional relationships seen in ancient temples and numerological grids. Even in sound healing, frequencies tied to 396 as 639 has and 9063, each a multiple of 3, are said to correspond with emotional release, relationship healing, and spiritual awakening, respectively. While scientific validation of these claims remains debated, the experiential power of these free frequencies continues to be explored by musicians, therapists, and researchers interested in the interaction between sound and consciousness. In the symbolic realm, the numbers appear again and again. The Christian Trinity of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, the 3 jewels of Buddhism, of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the 9 muses of Greek mythology, the hexagram in Judaism, 6 forming 2 triangles, the enneagram in Sufi, the modern psychology, the symbolic repetition of these numbers, history and culture, hence and an architect, knowledge, and are naturally, but not in our very perception, fundamental in our type, and in only a mysticism in ours across history of reality. This is why many regard numbers as a form of divine language, not in the mystical sense of fortune telling, but in the philosophical sense that reality expresses itself through structure, and structure, at its most essential level, is numeric. To the modern seeker, this opens up a fascinating possibility. Perhaps 369 is not just a pattern we notice, but a pattern that notices us, that reveals itself when we are ready to perceive reality as layered, rhythmic, and alive. And if that's true, then aligning ourselves with these numbers, through meditation, reflection, or action on dates like June 3, 2025, might not just be symbolic. It might be resonant, sensing the inner world with the architecture of the cosmos. Across ancient cultures and civilizations, a remarkable consistency emerges in the way geometry, architecture, and cosmology are interwoven. At the heart of this connection lies what many refer to as sacred geometry, a system of universal design principles believed to mirror the blueprint of the universe itself. Within this sacred mathematics, the sequence of 3, 6, and 9 continues to appear in powerful and symbolic ways. Let's begin with one of the most enduring examples of sacred architecture, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Scholars have long debated its purpose. Was it a tomb, a cosmic machine, or a symbolic model of the heavens? What's less contested is its precision. The pyramid's geometry encodes pi and the golden ratio. More intriguingly, when the pyramid is divided into sections, certain proportions align with multiples of 3 and 9, suggesting that the architects may have designed it with a symbolic system of numeric resonance in mind. Egyptian temples and tombs often employed 3-part divisions: entrance, sacred hall, and inner sanctuary, mirroring body, mind, and spirit. The number 9 was sacred in Egyptian cosmology, symbolizing completeness and the divine Enid, a grouping of 9 deities central to the creation myth of Heliopolis. Moving eastward, in Indian Vastu Shastra, the ancient science of architecture, the number 9 plays a foundational role. The Vastu Purusha Mandala, a sacred design grid, typically uses a 9-to-9 square structure. This grid represents cosmic order, with each square governed by a specific deity or force. Homes, temples, and even entire cities were planned according to this structure to maintain harmony with the cosmos. In China, traditional palatial architecture and sacred city planning incorporate the number 9 heavily. The Forbidden City in Beijing, for example, is believed to contain 999 rooms, just one short of the divine 10 Zalunzid, reserved for the heavens. This use of 9 signified a link between the emperor and the celestial realm. Then there's the field of sacred geometry itself. Geometric patterns such as the Flower of Life, Metatron's cube, and the Vesica Pisces are based on the relationships and symmetries rooted in the numbers 3 and 6. These forms appear across ancient carvings, cathedrals, and manuscripts, often hidden in plain sight. The hexagram, or 6-pointed star, found in Jewish, Hindu, and occult traditions, is built from 2 overlapping triangles, each a triad, reinforcing the foundational 3. Artists and architects of the Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci among them, were deeply aware of these proportions. In Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, the human body is mapped according to geometric and numerical laws believed to reflect the microcosm-macrocosm relationship. The circle and square used in this iconic image embody divine proportion and earthly limitation. In many interpretations, the arms and legs form a 6-point configuration, another subtle echo of sacred symmetry. The enneagram, too popular today as a tool for personality insight, originated as a symbol of spiritual transformation. It is a 9-pointed diagram based on complex interrelationships of numbers and represents the journey of the soul through integration, fragmentation, and return. The shape maps inner growth, stages of consciousness, and even energetic laws of the universe. Its internal lines reflect the unique sequence 142857, leaving out 3, 6, and 9, which in esoteric interpretations are thought to stand outside the pattern, holding spiritual significance beyond the ego's path. So why did so many civilizations without apparent contact embed these numbers into their most sacred designs? The answer may lie in the idea that geometry and number are the original language's tools, used not just to shape space, but to communicate with the divine. When a temple aligns with solstices, or a city reflects planetary motion, the act of construction becomes a ritual, a way of harmonizing earthly life with cosmic order. This is why so many spiritual traditions advise meditation on geometric forms. The yantras of Hinduism, the mandalas of Buddhism, and the Kabbalistic tree of life are more than art, they're maps of consciousness encoded in number and shape. These forms are often structured around 3, 6, or 9 divisions because these numbers represent essential vibrational stages of transformation. In the context of June 3, 2025, and the emerging attention around the 369 portal, these architectural and symbolic patterns suggest something powerful, that the ancients may have been encoding a universal truth, one that we are only beginning to rediscover. To walk through a pyramid, stand before a mandala, or trace the shape of a sacred spiral is not just an aesthetic experience, it is an encounter with mathematical spirit, where numbers act not as abstractions, but as living frequencies of divine intelligence. As we step into the 21st century, the ancient ideas surrounding sacred numbers like 3, 6, and 9 have taken on new life, often far removed from their original context. In the age of social media, viral content, and self-help culture, we find ourselves amid a powerful wave of modern spiritual reinterpretation. This is the world of New Age numerology, manifestation TikToks, and algorithm-driven mysticism. But what are we really seeing here, a cultural awakening or a distortion? One of the most popular developments in this space is the so-called 369 manifestation method, which gained massive traction online, particularly through platforms like TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. It involves writing an affirmation or desire 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. Influencers claim it's based on Tesla's teachings, though. As we covered earlier, this is likely a misattribution. The technique is often presented as a shortcut to attracting wealth, love, or success. With soft music and cosmic visuals, it's marketed as a kind of spiritual life hack. For many, especially younger generations, it's their first introduction to numerology or sacred geometry. But there's a problem: the depth of these traditions is often replaced by surface-level formulas. Sacred numbers, which once demanded years of study and initiatory understanding, are now rendered into bite-sized content with minimal context. This simplification can spark curiosity, yes, but it can also dilute the philosophical and metaphysical richness behind the symbolism. Critics of the New Age movement often point to this kind of commodification. The commercialization of spiritual practices, tarot decks in fashion stores, chakra candles with no reference to yogic teachings, numerology apps with auto-generated predictions raises important questions. Are we honoring the knowledge of ancient traditions, or are we just consuming their aesthetics? That said, there's another side to the story. For all its flaws, the New Age revival has opened doors. People who might never have discovered Hermeticism, the Kabbalah, or Pythagorean philosophy are now asking deeper questions, seeking answers about consciousness, reality, and the unseen structure of existence. Even within pop culture, we see a rising interest in spiritual codes and metaphysical ideas. Films like Interstellar, Doctor Strange, and The Matrix Resurrections explore themes of multidimensionality, sacred math, and inner awakening. Musicians like Tool and Grimes incorporate esoteric imagery and numerology into their work. Authors and public thinkers, from Jordan Peterson to Joe Dispenza, reference archetypes, energetic principles, and ancient symbols, reaching millions with what was once fringe material. This cultural shift, this return to mysticism dressed in modern clothing, is not necessarily regressive. In fact, it may signal the early stages of a collective re-enchantment, where we begin to see the world not as a dead mechanism, but as a living, patterned whole. And if younger audiences are first drawn in by a 369 manifestation trend, that curiosity might mature into a deep exploration of spiritual science. Still, we must hold these interpretations accountable. It's important to question claims, investigate sources, and avoid treating spiritual practice like a vending machine. The power of numbers like 3, 6, and 9 doesn't lie in how many times we write them down, but in how we align ourselves with their principles: balance, harmony, and transcendence. Perhaps the most dangerous misconception is that numbers can make things happen. In ancient traditions, numbers didn't cause events. They revealed them. They were signposts, not steering wheels. To treat them as spells or shortcuts risks turning sacred wisdom into superstition. That's where channels like yours, the Enchanted archive, play a vital role. You have the opportunity to guide your audience beyond the trends, beyond the aesthetics, into a more grounded, thoughtful exploration. What does 3 mean in the context of Pythagorean harmony? What does 6 symbolize in esoteric Kabbalah? What is the deeper role of 9 in cyclical time? As we approach June 3, 2025, and the anticipation of 369 portal builds across digital platforms, the conversation is going to get louder. Some will exaggerate, others will dismiss. But those willing to look beneath the noise may discover something profound not in the trend itself, but in the ancient patterns it's attempting, however imperfectly, to revive. So, what can we really expect on June 3, 2025? Will a portal open? Will the universe shift? Will those who chant their affirmations in sequences of 3, 6, and 9 suddenly unlock the secrets of the cosmos? Let's step back and ask the deeper question behind all of this. What does it mean when a symbol, a number, or a date captures the imagination of so many people across the globe? What we're witnessing isn't just hype. It's a collective search for meaning. In a world saturated with distraction, conflict, and rapid change, the human mind naturally seeks pattern and purpose. The 369 sequence and the attention surrounding June 3, 2025 isn't about magic tricks or cosmic guarantees. It's about alignment, not just planetary but personal, and perhaps even collective. Astrologically, the day presents a rare harmony of planetary energies. Numerologically, it represents a striking convergence of 3, 6, and 9 numbers which, as we've explored, symbolize creation, balance, and completion. Symbolically, the date has captured the attention of both serious seekers and trend followers alike. It's a cultural moment charged with possibility, not certainty. But let's be clear, nothing will happen unless you make it happen. The ancient teachings on numbers, portals, and cosmic rhythms were never meant to give us passive entertainment. They were calls to consciousness. They didn't tell us to wait for the universe to fix things. They invited us to align with its rhythms and act accordingly. Whether or not a literal portal opens, the real doorway is internal. If you approach this date expecting external miracles without internal movement, you may leave disappointed. But if you approach it as an opportunity, a symbolic threshold for renewal, reflection, and intention, you may find the results more real than any outward event. Not because the date has power over you, but because you choose to bring power to the date. Think of it like a full moon. The moon doesn't make you feel anything, but it creates an environment where energy is heightened, where emotions rise to the surface, where reflection becomes more potent. The same is true here. June 3, 2025 may simply be a full moon of meaning, a moment amplified by human focus, cultural attention, and symbolic significance. So, what can you actually do with it? First, set an intention. Whether through journaling, meditation, ritual, or quiet contemplation, use the 3-6-9 structure not as a superstition, but as a framework. 3 intentions for the body, 6 affirmations for the mind, 9 visualizations for the spirit. Next, ground yourself. Don't drift off into cosmic abstraction. Eat well. Spend time in nature. Reflect on your personal rhythms and how they mirror the cycles of the world around you. Sacred dates are only powerful when they meet grounded awareness. And finally, observe the symbols. Notice where 3-6-9 shows up not just numerically, but energetically. How are you creating, balancing, and completing the patterns in your own life? Where are you stuck in repetition? Where are you moving toward integration? These questions, quiet, subtle, deeply personal, are more powerful than any viral trend. They are the real keys, the real codes, and perhaps, just perhaps, they are the doorways Tesla hinted at, the alignments the ancients encoded into stone, the geometry traced by mystics in candle-lit manuscripts. June 3, 2025 may come and go without fireworks, but for those paying attention, it may mark something much more important than spectacle. a moment of pause, a breath of alignment, a reminder that we are not just observers of the cosmos, but participants in its unfolding. And maybe that's the portal, not a place, not a flash of light, but a shift, a subtle but lasting reminder that within you, the numbers 3, 6, and 9 are already active, already speaking, already guiding you. You just have to listen. If this exploration sparked something within you, a question, a realization, or even a sense of wonder, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's build a space for thoughtful dialogue, not just belief or disbelief, but curiosity. And if you'd like to keep diving into ancient knowledge, sacred symbolism, and the hidden threads of spiritual truth, consider subscribing to the Enchanted archive. A like helps more seekers find this content. But more importantly, your engagement tells the algorithm that knowledge still matters. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and keep exploring the mysteries.